All right, well, today is National Stop the Bleed Day, and just a few hours ago, our staff members wrapped up a very important Stop the Bleed training. And it's such an important set of skills to know so that you can help save a life in an emergency situation. And right now we have registered nurse and paramedic David Summers. You are with the Palm Beach County Corps, right? So thank you.
Medical Reserve Corps.
Medical Reserve Corps. Thank you so much for being here, for talking about this. And really, David, every second counts during an emergency, right? And
yes.
And you're here to tell us what we can do while we wait for first responders who are on the way. So tell us a little bit about why EMS and nurses are stressing that everybody learns this set of skills.
Just as important as learning how to do CPR for patients that are having a heart attack or a sudden cardiac death and now they're not breathing and having heart circulation, knowing what to do in those circumstances is very important. Also knowing what to do before the event happens is to learn how to stop the bleed, because we know that all bleeding stops eventually.
Absolutely.
Either Mother Nature makes blood clots, either we put pressure on it, or the poor person runs out of blood. Our goal is to teach the public what to do when they come across this type of situation.
So we see you brought different types of tourniquets and objects here. David, please demonstrate for us a little bit.
So the most easiest thing to do when somebody's bleeding is direct pressure. Mm-hmm. May I?
Yes, absolutely.
So if you happen to have a wound here that's bleeding, mm-hmm. you put on direct pressure and you squeeze hard. When blood is not moving, blood has more tendency to start clotting. And that's the goal that we're looking for, is let Mother Nature start the blood clots. So we can hold pressure on this wound, hold it 2, 3, 5 minutes, whatever it takes. If your patients are on blood thinners, your mother and father or your grandparents are on blood thinners, that medicine interferes with their ability to stop bleeding. So we'll have to hold it longer.
Okay, so that's one way.
That's one way. We can put a band around it, an ACE bandage or a belt or something to make this nice and tight.
Right.
That would be...
Because you are squeezing hard. Yes. So any other object you can do to just, that's the whole point, apply pressure.
Apply direct pressure. We can do a pressure dressing, and that would be to have the dressing on and then put something over the dressing, and then we can still hold pressure on top. We can pack a wound. Okay. So if I'm a gunshot wound or something, a blast, and it causes an injury.
So that is an example right here.
This would be an example of a gunshot wound. But this would be a big gunshot wound that's causing a lot of damage also on the inside. It's not only the object hitting muscles and arteries and bones and veins, it's also the blast injury that goes with it. So we teach the people in the classes to wad up a bunch and stuff it into the hole.
Okay.
Now this is a training mannequin, so it's larger than you would actually probably expect.
I imagine.
But the whole basis is, and when we do teach, we watch the people that we're teaching, and we can read the audience. And if they start looking a little apprehensive, like, oh, I can't do that, I'll ask them, do you think you can do this to somebody you don't know? And some of them will say no. Do you think you can do it to a family member? Oh, yeah.
It's a big difference.
But you can also delegate. If you can't do something, you can, if you know how to do it, you can teach somebody else how to do it in the fly. Once you pack the wound, now you put pressure. Now you're pushing on the objects that are inside, whether it's the cloth or gauze or specially treated gauze to initiate blood clots. You're pushing on that. Now that's against the damaged muscles that are bleeding on the inside. So you keep holding pressure until the bleeding stops or help arrives. Paramedics come over, they take a look, okay, we're ready, and you let go when they switch with you.
Yeah, and I like that you started with this, because these are some of the items that we would probably have nearby, but you also brought tourniquets. So I think that's important too. Show us how to use that.
All right, tourniquets, this one's a very common one in Palm Beach County, one of two that are the most common that we have scattered all over the county. This is called a CAT tourniquet, Combat Application Tourniquet. It comes in 3 lovely colors. It comes in military and law enforcement, black, because they need to be stealth. It comes in EMS and hospital and general public, orange. That way, when they roll into the ER, we can see that this is on somebody and identify, oh, that person has a tourniquet. So we make it nice and flashy.
Important.
And then we also use blue, and blue's for training.
Okay.
So these are multiple use, these are one-time use only, so we don't practice with these, we practice with something like this. And the tourniquet application is very simple. Open it up, and then it doesn't matter which way you put it on, it could be either way. And the important thing that we teach for the public is high and tight. Boy Scouts, we used to teach if I had an injury here, 2 to 3 inches above,
Right.
we would put the tourniquet right here. The way we're doing medicine nowadays is we teach
Yeah,
high and
put 'em-
tight. I have one artery here, one bone in here. Now when I squeeze this together, it squeezes that artery right against the bone. I pull my tab, spin it to where I can reach it, Velcro to Velcro, up to this area right here. This is the clip. I can start twisting this. I'm not going to make it too tight right now because it hurts.
Please don't. But you
But
just
once I
wrap it
twist it-
around and twist it. And then after?
Yes. And then now I'm watching the wound stops bleeding. I put the stick right here in the holder. So this doesn't catch on something. We throw this over one time. We take this little safety strap and we put it right here. If we have time, we can
You write it down.
time.
Interesting.
But locally here, we have 2 level 1 trauma centers in Palm Beach County, St. Mary's to the north, Delray to the south. Our fire rescue units can get, and trauma helicopters can get our patients to the hospitals very quickly. Time is not as important because some people struggle. I don't have a Sharpie, I
Right.
can't write the
Right.
time, so don't worry about that. So again, all bleeding stops eventually. This is 1 liter of IV fluid. We have 5 to 7 of these as blood in our body. If you come in and see a large puddle on the floor, patient's been bleeding for a little while, and that patient can die.
Thank you so much for walking us through this. We talked about the tourniquets and something as simple as a blanket or a piece of your clothing
Yes.
to help stop the bleed. Thank you for being here on National Stop the Bleed Day, teaching our staff members and most importantly our viewers at home. David Summers, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.